Well, the rise of social media and online channels is having a real impact on the balance of power between consumers and business. Organisations now have to navigate this newly empowered customer base and manage a multi-channel customer experience. Well, joining us now for how to handle the customer experience economy is Dr. Catriona Wallace. She's the Managing Director and founder of the firm Fifth Quadrant. Dr. Wallace, good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Can you explain for us first and describe and define that term, the customer experience economy?
I can. So what we're seeing is a shift in power from organisations to consumers, and it doesn't necessarily mean that organisations have less power in their negotiations with consumers, but consumers' power is rising, and this is through the coming of mainly digital software and products, social media, web chat, mobile apps, and now some software that we call vendor relationship management products that allow consumers to manage their vendors.
When you say that the power of the consumer is rising, their power to do what exactly?
The power to negotiate a deal that they think is fairer for them, the power to create products and services and experiences with organisations, but also the power to create attention if things are not going well, such as viral social media communications around a bad service experience, for example.
So what kind of trends then are you seeing out there in the customer experience economy? I mean, you mentioned one, which is people turning to social media when things aren't going right.
Yeah, so the trends we're seeing now are definitely a rise in interest in social media, but still only about 30% of Australian consumers would use social media on a day-to-day basis to interact with organisations, but it's still a trend. The rise of mobile, so again about 20% of Australian consumers using mobile apps as the most preferred way to interact. Web chat is very interesting. Web chat is not spoken about a lot in the media, but is a really significant product. About 40% of Australian consumers really want to use web chat. And then there are other tools from the enterprise side. So the rise of big data, so organisations using big data to try and better reach what we call personalisation or segment of one. So both consumers and organisations are seeking to try and understand each other better at the individual level now, not mass segmentation anymore.
When you talk about web chat, is that the pop-up that comes up when you're on a website that allows you to directly talk to someone in customer service?
Yeah, it is. And it's particularly for technical support, so when people have a problem with their computer or a device, but now seeing more in banking and telecommunications. It's interesting, Nigel, that the industries that have typically done poorly in customer experience, and globally that would include the telcos, the utilities, banking and finance and healthcare, these are the organisations now investing most in these types of software solutions.
How is this different to traditional CRM? Because we have seen those industries and others talk about putting the customer at the centre of what they do and that kind of language for quite some time. So how is today different to that traditional model?
Well, as a tech analyst, we would largely say that CRM, its history and what its legacy is has essentially not been successful. So if we look globally at the rise in customer satisfaction, it's been about 5 basis points on a 100-point scale as a result of CRM. So if we look at the billions of dollars that have been spent on CRM, we would largely see it as not a successful product. Hence why now organisations are investing in things such as big data and vendor relationship management products, which allow consumers to better manage their relationships with their vendors.
That's not going to be good news to all these consultants that have been selling CRM products for quite some time. Where does that leave organisations then now in terms of if you're a bank or you're a telco, where do you invest if not in CRM systems, and what do you do with all the millions you've invested in those legacy systems?
Well, certainly we know with regard to customer experience platforms, we know that the second highest level of investment in technology for organisations this year will be in customer experience related products. So there will still be investment in CRM. We'll see a greater investment in sophisticated data analytics, in big data, in data audits and strategies around customer experience. But we'll see organisations investing in what we call co-creation products. So these are applications that allow the organisation and the consumer to create not only products and services but the whole experience. So one of those products is called Flamingo. There's another one called Identity out of Canberra, and there's a company in New Zealand doing a product called MyWave, which is, these are all vendor relationship management co-creation products allowing vendors and consumers to create things together.
Where does this leave then the call centre, which has been for some companies the first point of contact, if you like, for so long, and really the backbone of their strategy to engage with customers? Does it reduce its importance or increase its importance?
Such a great question, Nigel. So with all the media hype around social, mobile, web, etc., we tend to forget that still 74% of all contacts by Australian consumers on a given day comes through the call centre. The phone is still the #1 preferred channel for all Australian consumers, but what we're seeing now is that there is an increase in the percentage of consumers who want to use the digital channels ahead of contact centre, but contact centre still will remain the backbone of what we're doing for at least the next 3 years.
And we're going to see this trend of contact centre staff being multi-skilled, so also using social media, for example?
Yeah, and again, another interesting question, because what we've seen is Australian businesses have not yet been really successful in developing the multi-channel, multi-skilled agent. So an agent who can take a phone call, answer an email, do a web chat, do social media all at once. At the moment, these are still siloed. And the challenge that Australian businesses have is not having a customer experience strategy that sits over the top and integrates those channels. So first we've got to remember technology is an enabler, not a strategy. Get the strategy right, the rest will follow.
And that has been the eternal challenge for many companies for quite some time. Dr. Wallace, thank you for your time today.
Pleasure.